Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I wish we were having a hearing with these excellent witnesses on what's on people's minds, which is what's going on in Gaza, where we could discuss the incredible difficulties of urban warfare and how the top expert on urban warfare at West Point has said that Israel has done at least as good a job as any other military in minimizing civilian casualties, given the incredible difficulties of urban warfare. Instead, we have what appears a highly politicized hearing trying to blame Biden. And this hearing began with the title, Biden's Strategic Failure. It's my understanding that our witnesses refused to testify with that title. In any case, they should have. We've now retitled the hearing, but we haven't repurposed it. It continues to be politicized. But a highly partisan hearing shouldn't be held if you're in the party that made most of the mistakes. Let's put this in context. We had a real dispute as to whether we should leave 2,500 or so American servicemen there for perhaps this decade and the following decade. The dissent cable argued for that. A lot of the foreign policy establishment argued for that. But Trump promised the American people every single American soldier would be out. And from that point, we had no bargaining position. That's why the chief negotiator, said that it was well known by 2018, by the end of 2018, that we are hell-bent to get every person out. And so what kind of agreement did we enter into in Doha? Supposedly by the best negotiator in the world, then President Trump. It is an agreement that says it's okay for the Taliban to treat 12-year-old girls like sex slaves. No provision prohibits that. Nothing prohibits the Taliban from killing people because they're part of the LGBT community. Nothing prohibits them from killing someone because they convert from Islam to Christianity. All they're required to do is talk to the Afghan government. They talked, perhaps, and then they assumed total power. And we could do nothing about it because we had promised the American people that absolutely every soldier would be out. And of course, right before the election, Trump promised to have them all back by Christmas of 2020. The Trump administration lost 59 of our servicemen, 152 of our contractors, accomplishing absolutely nothing. We surrendered in 2020. We could have surrendered in 2017. But perhaps the most extreme partisanship has arisen when so many members of this committee have attacked President Biden supposedly for not bringing back the, quote, $85 billion, I think it's closer to $8 billion, of equipment that we left behind. Now, this equipment was in the hands of Afghans who had plenty of use for it. They could keep it for their own defense. They could sell it to the Taliban. They did not choose to bring it back to us and return it. So I'll ask General Milley, was there a way for us to go all around Afghanistan and demand the return of our equipment? This is assuming, I realize that at the time we hoped that the Afghan armed forces would use that to resist the Taliban. But if we had realized that they were going to cave immediately, could we have taken that equipment away from all these Afghans with no casualties?
No, of course not. So
we would have incurred very substantial casualties if we had done what so many on the other side of the aisle have suggested, and that's somehow get back our equipment. Now, how does our withdrawal from Afghanistan compare to our withdrawal from, well, actually, I have another question. Biden came in January 2021. Was there a comprehensive plan at that time to both withdraw absolutely every one of our servicemen, because that was the promise Trump had made to the American people, while withdrawing in an organized way with no American casualties? Was there a complete plan ready to go at that time?
So 2 points, if I go back to the equipment just very quickly. As I recall, and I think it's laid out in the Seaguar's report, the special IG for Afghanistan, There's about 80 some odd billion dollars worth of military aid total. That's everything from food and building barracks and uniforms and boots to include equipment over 20 years. And then he cites, I think it's 7.2 billion of military equipment, U.S. manufactured military equipment that is with the Afghan security forces. That's Afghan-owned equipment, not American equipment. Every piece of American equipment that the American military owned came out with us with Scott Miller, or he destroyed it on site. And that's a fact. So the idea that the American
So this attack on Biden for not taking the
gentleman's time
equipment back
expired.
is total
Chair
bunk.
recognizes